Hi everyone, and welcome back to the podcast Living Authentically, Becoming Your True Self. Today's episode is a little bit different. I wanted to talk about what happens when life doesn't exactly go to plan. Today I was hoping to release my latest episode, and I've been working on it, but it's not quite there, and there are some reasons why I haven't been able to do that. So I just wanted to come on and talk a little bit about what's going on, because whilst I could push through and try and release a normal episode like it's a normal week, I actually thought that might be against the ethos of the Living Authentically piece that I talk about. So I wanted to talk a little bit about unpaid caregiving and the challenge and the journey that I've shared so far. Now, I'm not necessarily going to go into a huge amount of detail right now for multiple reasons, but I just wanted to say that this week has not gone to plan as I expected, and the next few days ahead are probably going to be tougher than I had anticipated. So what do I mean by unpaid caregiving? Well, the first thing I mean is that it's about caregiving for somebody that you are close to. So this could be a family member, a partner, a child, a relative, an elderly parent. It's somebody that you are feeling responsible for. Now, I actually class myself as a long distance caregiver. So what I mean by that is I don't actually spend my time 24/7 with them. But what I do is I make sure that everything is arranged for them, from food to medication to everything else. And even though it's long term or long distance, it has actually been long term as well. And one of the things that I would say is that the people who are with their loved ones for 24/7 might take it on out of love and obligation. But I also acknowledge that there is exhaustion and sacrifice and moments where you actually feel isolated and invisible. And the plans that you actually once had for your career and your time and even your identity can shift, sometimes very quickly overnight, and sometimes it can be a long journey that sort of gets worse over time. This is actually a role for me that I didn't anticipate, and I'm not quite sure on reflection why, because for me, I have elderly parents or elderly relatives, etc., and there was always going to be a good chance that this would happen. But I guess I think what I didn't realise is that stepping into this role would mean that I'd put a lot of things on hold, and whilst I was maybe logically aware of what it would look like, I don't think I actually quite realised what it would look like in the reality of it. Again, sorry for being a little bit vague, but I just wanted to try and keep this quite top level. And I do think this is something I want to talk about more in the future. The last year and a half certainly has been really incredibly hard at times. It's taught me about compassion for myself, for others, resilience, and the quiet strength that comes from caring for someone else in whatever capacity you can. And I think the really interesting thing for me is that I've learnt a lot more about myself, but I've also learnt a lot more about the ethos of caregiving. And the fact of it is you actually give the person what you need, but also you have boundaries for yourself, for your own mental health and well-being. So one of the things that has paused me to actually not release the latest episode has been around caregiving. And rather than rush anything through, I thought it would be a good idea to just maybe put this on hold for a week and hopefully release the episodes that I want to release in the order I want to release them from next week. So this isn't going to be a long pause. This is just giving me some breathing space and a week to basically do what I need to do, which is around caregiving. I guess one of the things I would say on reflection is that if any of my listeners out there are a caregiver too, And if life has thrown you into the role and you didn't expect it, but you chose to actually show up for it anyway, I salute you, because it isn't easy. And I don't think that everybody can do it. But one of the things I also wanted to let you know is that you're not alone. Your story matters, and the effort you put in matters, no matter what you might think or feel on a particular day. And even if the world doesn't necessarily see what you're doing, I just want to let you know that I do, and I do appreciate it. I think that one of the things that's really hard about caregiving is that everybody feels that their journey is unique. And whilst there are some common milestones, I think the loved ones are as unique as how they handle things as well as the people around them. And I think that it's okay to grieve the life you thought you'd have that you don't have at the moment. It's okay to feel tired, frustrated, even lost. But it's also okay to be proud of the love that you give, the patience you show, and the way that you keep yourself going. Obviously, we really want to make sure that what we're doing and how we're going is in a healthy way. And I think if you talk to any of the other caregivers out there, they'll probably admit to you the same as I will, that there are times where I really don't put myself first when I should. So that's really it for me today. I'm going to upload this just as a short intermission post, I guess, as you say, just to say that we are going to keep going with the podcast. It's just that this week I'm going to take an extra breather. This podcast I always wanted to talk about was a space for real stories. And mine, like a lot of people's out there, is still unfolding and moving. And there are actually plans that I'm very proud of that I've put in place. But the timescales don't always work to how you want it to. And again, this is a classic example where life hasn't gone to plan for me. And sometimes it will detour me. But actually, for the main, it's actually moving in the right direction positively and the way I want to move it. So, yes, there are going to be some tough times ahead. But actually, it's going to be able to help me to achieve things that I really wanted to achieve that I thought wasn't possible. And one of the things that I really, really wanted to say was that I actually made this change happen. And although the change might not necessarily be taken as positive for a lot of people, hopefully the people directly involved will see that the change is needed, it's positive, but it also means that it's scary and there's a little bit of ambiguity for it. So I think I'm probably largely going to leave it there. I could probably keep going for another 20 minutes, but I'm just going to leave it there. There may be actually a point in future where I delete this episode entirely and just have a gap, but I felt that it was really a good idea just to upload something, just to say, this is where I am, this is what's going on. I'm taking this break for a week, which doesn't really sound like much, but I'm just taking the pressure off me uploading the latest episode until I'm comfortable with it. And it just means that I actually feel better about it because I feel authentic, and I feel like I'm preaching or at least listening to what I preach. So that's it really. I appreciate everybody who's listened to the podcast so far. I'm excited for it and I'm excited to continue with it. And I keep thinking about new ideas all the time. And I really want to share them with everybody. But I just wanted to upload this so that if people are looking and you've subscribed and you've said, oh, I haven't seen anything today, then this is why. I just need a little bit of space. And hopefully people will understand. I think that a lot of people will. And some of the topics that I've talked about are difficult in themselves, and I do actually want to go deeper into them at some point, and I think I will share them, but probably once this part or the next few days are kind of in the past, so I can reflect on it and give some real insight to others. But if there is anything that you want to talk to me about, or you are a caregiver yourself and you want to have that conversation, feel free to get in touch. I'll leave my details, and until next time, keep living authentically, everyone. Bye.